If you just got denied for disability, I'm going to show you the 3 steps that get denials overturned, and I'm going to give you a free tool that I built that tells you your exact deadline, the form that you need, and what to write. Now, before we get into it, over 2,200 people with disabilities have used my free screening tools, and they've qualified for over $86 million a year in benefits that they didn't know about. And I'm telling you that because the internet is full of people with opinions about disability, and almost none of them have actually helped anyone get it. Now, I made this video for people who are already denied. And if that's not you, you can skip this video. Frankly, there's no judgment, but if that is you, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna walk you through the moves in the exact order that you should make them, and then I'm gonna run a real denial through the tool so you can watch it turn a real rejection letter into a game plan before you ever touch your own. And before we start, here is the number that should not only give you hope, but should be seared into your brain, which is about half of all of the people who take their denial all the way through to the hearing stage end up winning. And most people never find that out because they interpret the initial denial as the end of the road when it just isn't. So let's start with step number 1. The first step is reading your denial the right way. And this is the first step you need to take because a careful reading of the letter shows you exactly what you're going to fix. And before we get into it, here are the 3 moves of a successful appeal. First, you read the letter and find the real reason for the denial. Second, you file your appeal before the deadline. And third, you send Social Security the medical proof that they didn't have when they denied you. So let's get into it. So the first thing to know is who actually denied you. So when you applied, your file went to an agency in your state called Disability Determination Services. And an examiner there reviewed your medical records from the doctor you listed on your application. They read what came back and made a decision about your case on paper without ever meeting you, right? And here's a really interesting stat. In 2025, Social Security decided 2.2 million disability claims that were first-time claims. So first-time applicants making claims, and of those, 64% were denied. And a first denial means that the examiner did not find enough proof in the paperwork in front of them, but that is not the same thing as Social Security deciding that you're not healthy enough to work, right? Because they didn't actually meet you. They're just examining your file in the application. But about half of the people who get a medical denial at the initial application never appeal at all. So for the people who don't appeal, by definition, your denial is final. Now here is what reading the letter the right way really means. So somewhere in that letter, Social Security states the reason it denied you. And I need you to find that exact reason because steps 2 and 3 are both built on it. And a very common reason, which is the one I'll use as an example later on in this video, is if the ruling was that your condition was not severe enough. But it's crucial to understand that that does not mean that Social Security decided that you're fine. It means the examiners decided that the medical records in your file don't prove that the condition stops you from working, which is really a paperwork problem rather than a health problem, oftentimes. And a paperwork problem, lucky for you, is a problem that you can fix. And now before we get to the deadline, I have to warn you about the mistake that costs denied people the most money. And I've already touched on this, but plenty of people read the denial, they figure the application went wrong somehow, and then they start a brand new application hoping for a better result the second time, right? But if your appeal wins, Social Security will pay you for all the months that you spent waiting, counted from the day that you first applied. And that payment is called back pay. And if you start a brand new application instead of appealing, Social Security starts the count over from the day you send the new one. So the month that you already waited, the back pay you would have claimed if you didn't start a new application no longer counts towards your payout. So step 1 is done when you can say the exact reason that Social Security denied you and you've decided to appeal instead of starting over. And the moment you decide that, the next question is, How long do you have to appeal before your deadline? And that's what we'll get into right now. So step 2 is filing your appeal before the deadline. If you file on time, Social Security will look at your case again. If you file late, Social Security can refuse to look at your case at all. You get 60 days to appeal, which are counted from the denial date printed on your letter. You get 60 days to appeal, which are counted from the day the denial letter reached you. And Social Security assumes the letter reached you 5 days after the date printed on it, so you can safely appeal within 65 days from the date printed on your letter. But remember, by the time you are holding that letter and deciding what to do, several of those 65 days are gone, so those 5 days are an assumption. Just to be on the safe side, you should treat it as 60 days from the date on your denial letter. Now, the appeal form is called a request for consideration, which is the official name for the first appeal. And the fastest way to file yourself is online, and filing online gives you a receipt, which is your proof that you made the deadline. And this is a really important point, but you do not wait for your medical records before submitting your appeal, because Social Security lets you add records to an appeal after you've already filled it out. So if you already have new medical records and it's within that 60-day timeline, you totally can upload the medical records within that time frame. But if your deadline is close and your records aren't ready, then you should file anyway. And that's a problem that I see all the time with people filing their appeals. And your appeal should be sent in before your 65 days or 60 days run out. Therefore, the one question left is what you should send Social Security that they did not have the first time. And that is step 3. Now, this step is very frustrating for many people, often because you probably think you already attached the correct medical proof the first time. And even though it sucks, you got to be thinking, what can I do to better increase the odds that I get disability after a denial? And that's why I'm making this video. Here are the 2 things to close the gap between what was in your file and what your life actually looks like. The first is recent medical records from the doctors treating you now, because those are evidence or pieces of evidence that Social Security has never seen. And the second is a written statement from your own doctor describing what you can't do in plain numbers, meaning how long you can sit, how long you can stand, how much you can lift, and how long you can concentrate, because the question that Social Security is deciding is whether your condition stops you from working. And so now you have the whole appeal, you hopefully read your denial letter, and you found the reason that Social Security denied you. You file your request for reconsideration before your 65 days run out, and you send the Social Security the recent records and the doctor's statement they did not have when they denied you. Now that's all in the abstract, and just in a sec, I will deliver the promise that I made to you at the beginning of this video and show you the tool I made to simplify this whole process and make it a lot easier for you. But before I show you the tool, I want to address the 3 primary reservations that I hear all the time that stop people from filing in the first place. So first of all, you may have heard that you need a lawyer to help you apply, and lawyers are expensive. But here's how paying for help actually works in a disability appeal. You do not need a lawyer to file a request for reconsideration. You can file it yourself for free. And like I said, the tool I'm going to show you gives you the date, the steps, and the words for you to do it all yourself. But if you want someone handling the whole appeal for you, a disability representative is paid only if you win, and the fee comes out of your back pay, which federal law caps at 25% of your back pay or $9,200, whichever of those 2 values are less, that's the amount you're charged. You do not need a lawyer, but evidence does suggest it's very beneficial. The best statistic that we have comparing applicants who appealed versus ones who didn't, this is a statistic from the Government Accountability Office, who studied disability hearings from 2007 to 2015. And 64% of the people who had a representative at their hearing were approved, compared with just 43% of the people who did not. And at BenefitsUSA, we partner with amazing lawyers who tackle SSDI cases. So turning to a lawyer can be a great decision if it's applicable for your situation. Now, the second reservation is, I already lost once, so I'll just lose again. And I'm not going to pretend that reconsideration, which is Social Security reconsidering your appeal, has good odds. It's actually only about 1 in 6, about 16% of considerations end in a yes. Most end in a no. However, you should file anyways because Social Security will not schedule a hearing for anyone who has not been through reconsideration first. And the hearing stage is the stage worth getting to because about half, it's about 49% of people who make it to a hearing get approved. So the way I think about it is reconsideration is the intermediary step to get to the hearing. And so you should not get your hopes up that you'll get approved during reconsideration. Now let me show you the tool because I told you at the start you'd watch it turn a rejection letter into a game plan before you ever touch your own. The tool is called the Denial Navigator, and it is free. It never asks for your Social Security number or your name, and it asks you 3 questions, which are the ones that I've already outlined in this presentation. The first question asks for the date printed on your denial letter. And you know why? Because your 65 days, which we already outlined, count from that printed date. So the letter I'm going to use as an example is a denial letter that is 48 days ago. Today is August 4th, and the denial letter was on June 17th. So let me put that in. The second question asks what reason the letter gave. And there are 6 choices. I'll pick the one from step 1 where they said my condition is not severe enough. So I'll click that one. And the third question asks when you first applied, because the month you first applied is what sets the back pay. So this person applied 18 months ago. So we're going to put in February 2025. Great. And then how old are you? We're going to do 52 for this example, which is the average age of a disability appeal. All right, see my plan. Calculating your deadline. All right, so we have 17 days left to file your appeal because the deadline is coming up on August 21st. So this page is called your fight plan. And the first thing I want you to read is the verdict line. As we've gone over in this video, your verdict is going to be to appeal the denial more often than you would think. So as you can see, it shows the reasoning, appeal, and why. And under the verdict is the number I want you to look at longest. So the fight plan says winning this appeal would be worth about $21,000 in back pay. And that, I need to remind you, is on top of the monthly payments that start once the appeal is won. So this person waited 18 months, and Social Security does not pay you for your first 5 months of disability. 18 months of waiting becomes 13 months that count. And the average monthly payment for a disabled worker in 2026 is about $1,630. And that's just the average. It can go up to about $4,200, but that's the average. Below that, the fight plan lists the 3 moves that this person in this situation should do. So first of all, file the appeal online. And this gives the exact step-by-step instructions of where you go. So if we click this, it opens the SSA official page and what to write in your message, which is really useful because you can just turn off your brain and copy and paste this. Next, you want to send the evidence that they do not have. And this just gives you a little overview of what we've already talked about in this video, and then get your appeal on the record, then strengthen it, which is again something we talked about in this video. So you're already prepared. So this is the form, the evidence, and the paperwork all done for you and laid out for you of how to do it. Additionally, there's some answers to common questions that we have here, which I only added based on feedback from people using the tool who were still a little bit confused. So you can see what their letter actually means, what happens after you file, and then what nobody tells you. So the Denial Navigator is free, completely free to use, and the link is below in the description. Run your own letter through it, and you will have everything you need for a successful appeal. And when your plan comes up, you will see one more option on that page. We work with disability advocates who handle the entire appeal for you. Everything I showed you today, you can do yourself, but that option is there for people who are too sick or frankly just don't want to spend the time. You can also get reminded of the appeal deadline and add the deadline to your calendar so you don't forget. I know this sounds maybe trivial and small, but people forget more often than you would think. So I implore you all, if you were denied disability, follow the steps in this video, use the free Denial Navigator, and I wish you all the best of luck in your journey. I know it's tough. I know that the system feels like it's against you, and I know that you may feel like giving up, but don't give up. You got this. Have a good one, everybody.